Craig.
Hi there, good morning.
How are things recently?
Very well, they're keeping busy. Parliament's in recess at the moment, but there's lots to be doing. There's obviously the Principal Auditor's report out, which has unveiled a whole load of issues in government, which we're tackling. Things where the institutions are being targeted and threatened, so there's lots of work to be doing. And also I use the summer to chat to a lot of people and get information and views on the economy and the wider society and how we can improve their affairs.
So, Craig, just a couple of questions. What inspired you to get involved in politics?
To be honest, I got involved in politics quite late in the day in terms of, I'm not like you guys are all involved at a very young age, which is great to see. I think one's always aware of stuff that's going on in the press, and the more you read, the more involved. And I think the older I got, the more I realised that there was stuff that I could do and should be doing. I'm very much a person, my attitude is if you can do something about it, then do something about it rather than just talk about it. And I think my interest grew, and I saw the necessity for being involved in politics growing, and certainly it became more appealing on issues such as transparency, corruption or eradicating corruption, and I think fairness and acting equitably. I think those are big markers for me, and those are things that I was very much keen on tackling.
What do you see as the biggest challenges facing small businesses in Gibraltar right now?
Well, I think that the uncertainty that we've had over the last few years has been the biggest challenge, because businesses need certainty. It's almost like the rule number one for which to plan and build their businesses upon. And with the lack of deal, we've had an issue with that directly. There are other smaller issues as well, such as a huge amount of bureaucracy that they have to deal with, and those challenges should be met to make doing business in Gibraltar a lot more attractive.
Great. Is Gibraltar doing enough to encourage local entrepreneurship and innovation, especially amongst young people?
The short answer to that is no, I don't think it is. I think there's a lot more that could be done. As I mentioned before, I think red tape is an inhibitor to business, but I don't think it's been expressed enough in a positive light at school. There is, of course, the excellent Young Enterprise Scheme, but that on its own isn't enough. People need to be excited about the private sector, and at this point in time they're not. There seems to be more of a drift towards wanting to work to get a job in the civil service, which of course is a vital organ of Gibraltar, and it's extremely important that we get excellent candidates for that too. But we also want to inspire people to be able to create, because at the end of the day, small businesses are the lifeblood of our community and our business and the economy. And in fact, without these small businesses, government wouldn't have the revenue to pay the civil servants and all the public services that we receive. In terms of the youth itself, again, I think we need to start in schools. We need to do a lot more in outside of school as well. I don't think it's the sole responsibility of schools. And I think the government needs to be doing a lot more to excite kids. There needs to be a lot more. So, for example, the platform for investments, the standards are that you need easy access, you need easy setup and low setup obstacles, which include cost, of course. But also some of the barriers to entry are just the huge amount of bureaucracy that's needed to set up a business. I'm not sure if you've ever tried setting it up, but there's a lot to it. And even when you think you've set it up, then you get a letter saying you haven't done this. So there's a lot where people could be informed, and we could be simplifying the process. That would be a government's, and certainly our government's aim and objective to do. And then of course there's the funding. We need funding to be accessible, and there needs to be plenty of it. And at the moment there's limited to banks, and banks are reluctant to even give you a bank account, never mind low-level funding. It's quite tough to achieve. So those are key elements that need to be addressed and haven't been addressed to date.
Of course. Thank you. So, Craig, what does a typical day as an MP look like for you?
I suppose there's no typical day. Every day is different, particularly in opposition, where we don't have to go into a particular office every day, as you would if you were a minister, which hopefully we will be in a couple of years' time. But typically it involves a lot of of research. There's a lot of questions that we need to prepare for Parliament, and we need to research into the background of the issues that we find are coming across. We also have to do a lot of digging to find out what the issues are, because the issues aren't given to us on a platter, not always. And so there's a lot of research that goes on in the background. That includes meetings with people, as well as online research and looking trawling through all the previous discussions that have taken place in Parliament through Hansard. And then, of course, on a monthly basis, generally, even though we're in recess now, we have a monthly meeting of Parliament where we ask questions of the government, and sometimes get decent answers, but not always. So we keep probing.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self?
I think don't discard the importance of your own voice in a political sense. I think when I was young, I was put off by politics. Understandably, it can be a little bit vicious at times, and it's certainly not appealing to youth who perhaps a very positive outlook on life. But I would say this: I would say that as a younger person, you can be influential, and it's important to understand what's going on, because everything that politicians do and talk about affects your day-to-day life, and more importantly, will affect your future. So I think it's really important for the youth to get engaged, and that's the advice I would give my younger self.
So Craig, what would you do to make sure more people feel heard in Gibraltar?
I think the answer to that would be to try and get rid of this fear factor. There's a lot of people who are scared of talking. They may come up and whisper something in your ear, but then be fearful of retribution if the government find out. And I think that needs to be completely eradicated. That does society no favours. From a democratic point of view, it's terrible. But people need to be able to express their feelings, and to certainly say what their worries are, and be able to do so freely without fear of retribution of any sense. So I think initially, quitarle el miedo a la gente, just to get people to feel free and provide outlets for them to vent their frustration or make their points. And then the important thing is to react on it. Democracy is only as good as the delivery of it. So if you want to engage people, then you need to make sure that you respond accordingly. There's no point in having a platform for people to write in if the responses are insufficient, or if they don't respond at all. So that side of it is extremely important too, to make sure that people's voices are heard. And at the GSD, obviously, we have an email, we have an office where people, like I said, some feel scared of coming in, but I urge people not to, just to feel that they can, because the government will change and they won't have anything to fear. And no one will be losing their jobs because they voiced an opinion. And so just relax, enjoy life, and feel free to express yourself.
Craig, what are your views on the economy?
I think the economy is hugely important to our day-to-day lives. Not everyone necessarily appreciates that, but it's pivotal to all the public services that we have, and to everyone's happiness and prosperity. I think it's something which this government hasn't necessarily tackled very well. I think they kind of drift in a rudderless sense forward. I don't think there's too much in terms of strategy, and certainly very little that's executed in an efficient style, and certainly one that generates a lot of activity without serious investment up front. So there's a lot to be done. I think it's the role of governments to provide the right platform to attract businesses. So it's the role of government to make sure that legislation is in place, to make sure that we keep up with the times, and make sure that it's appealing for new sectors to set up in, and equally to protect the jurisdiction from any harm that might be done by some with not necessarily honest intentions. The other thing that the GSD would do is to make sure that the sectors that we think should be supported, like the develops, like the financial services, have the political support. At the moment, I don't feel that they do have the political support. The Financial Services Commission, the FSC, they have a shortage of specialist staff. That could be addressed by government. In terms of the marketing of Gibraltar to jurisdiction, that's not happening like it used to happen before. So a lot more needs to happen in that respect. And then, of course, you come on to the diversification of the economy. The economy needs to be diversified hugely. What are the new sectors that Gibraltar should be tapping into? There's AI, there's medical, there's there's the renewable technology, there's technology generally. I mean, all these exciting areas, Gibraltar could find its niche, and then link up with the university, link up with research, link up with the investors, provide the right platform and attract these people. But we need to go out and actively market this. We need to plan a strategy and then execute it well. And this government has shown a complete lack of competence in this area, and that's what we will bring to the fray.
I agree. Yeah. So, Craig, what's one thing you'd change in Gibraltar tomorrow if you had the opportunity?
That's an easy one. The government, clearly. I think Gibraltar needs a new government. It needs new leadership. It needs new direction, return to strong ethics and values, principles of hard work, family life, and like I said before, growing the economy. I think the economy needs to be a key focus of any future government. Not just the reduction of the debt, but the positive side, the growing, the expansion of it, the provision of prosperity for future generations. That's a key focus of our government when we get there.
So, Craig, just some quick fire questions. What's your favourite song?
Oh, I love music, so it's a hard one. I'd say at the moment probably Metallica, Nothing Else Matters.
What's your hobby?
Paddle tennis, got to be top. Although I love rugby.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee, for sure.
What was your dream job growing up and why?
Pilot. Loved flying. Absolutely loved it. I got my glider's license when I went solo when I was 16, and by the time I was 18, I got my pilot's license. In fact, I got that before my driving license. Love flying.
Are you always late or are you always early?
Early. I think 5 minutes early is on time is late.
Tell us a funny story.
Not very good at those. I'll leave that to comedians.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Craig.